You won't believe the story behind Tasha Cobbs Leonard, a name that has echoed through churches and concert halls alike for years. She was known for her powerful voice, one that could shake the walls of any church and touch the hearts of millions. Her songs were filled with lyrics that felt like they were written straight from the heart of God. From small church gatherings to huge arenas, her music brought people together. But let me tell you, behind that strong, confident voice, there was a secret pain, something that most people never saw. This is how the story begins, a story of strength hiding a quiet struggle, a story that many didn't expect. From the very start, people wondered if Tasha was always so confident. Was she really as strong as she appeared? Fans admired her, but many also quietly questioned if something was wrong beneath the surface. The truth was hidden well, and only whispers and rumors filled the spaces where answers should have been. This is where it gets interesting. Her husband, Kenneth Leonard, finally spoke out about what was really happening behind the scenes, confirming what so many had only guessed. His words didn't just reveal hidden facts, they changed everything we thought we knew about her. Tasha grew up in a small town in Georgia. Her father was a pastor, and the church was more than just a place to worship, it was like a second home. As a young girl, she was seen as joyful, full of life, and blessed with a big voice and an even bigger calling. But the early glow of hope was mixed with something darker. Even as a teenager, she felt waves of sadness and anxiety that she could not explain. Though she was surrounded by people in church and led worship with great energy, inside she felt alone. She kept her struggles secret, even from her own family. People often told her, "You are anointed and you will change the world." Deep inside, she wanted to believe it, but there was a quiet fear growing in her heart. What made this story different from others was that her fight was not visible to the world. It was a battle within her mind and soul. She started pretending that everything was fine, even when it was not. This habit followed her into adulthood, a mask she wore so well that hardly anyone saw the real pain underneath. In the church, she was taught to pray through her problems, to shout over her pain, and to sing past her sadness. So that's exactly what she did. But while her voice grew stronger, her heart quietly weakened. Her music started reaching bigger and bigger audiences. Soon she became one of the most famous voices in gospel music. Her song, "Break Every Chain," was not just popular, it was an anthem sung in churches all over the world. But here is the shocking part. The rise in fame also brought huge pressure. People expected more than just good music. They expected perfection. Tasha found herself trapped between the dream she had always wanted and the loneliness that came with it. Behind every standing ovation and sold-out show, she was fighting a battle no one could see: severe depression. The more she smiled on stage, the more she cried in private. She was exhausted from always having to be strong, from always having to perform as if nothing was wrong. She felt like she was playing a role, wearing a mask that was too tight to breathe in. Although she loved God deeply, she could not ignore the pain she carried inside. The church world, where she lived and worked, often misunderstood mental health. Many times she felt she could not talk about her pain because people might judge her or think she was weak. Behind the scenes of Tasha's success was Kenneth Leonard, her husband, who was her quiet strength. Kenneth was more than just a partner, he was the anchor in her chaotic world. While the world saw Tasha shining on stage, Kenneth saw the nights she could not sleep, the moments when she stared blankly even during happy times, and the heavy burden she carried in silence. He didn't always know the right words to say, but he never left her side. He prayed when she could not, sat with her when she did not want to talk, and reminded her of who she was when she forgot herself. Kenneth never tried to steal the spotlight. Behind every award and every standing ovation, he was the man in the shadows, offering love and prayer quietly. The craziest part was how deeply he loved not just the strong woman the world admired, but the broken, weary woman she was underneath. Kenneth's support wasn't about fixing her or pushing her to perform. It was simply about being present, holding space for her pain. This kind of love was rare, and it became the foundation for everything that followed. Then came the moment that changed everything, a moment most people didn't see, but one that reshaped their lives forever. Kenneth opened up emotionally and spoke the truth that many had suspected but never heard confirmed. That night, instead of giving a speech or preaching, Kenneth sat beside Tasha on the floor and cried with her. It was raw, real, and heartbreaking, but it was also the start of healing. For the first time, Tasha truly admitted how much she was struggling. This wasn't a moment for cameras or applause. It was a moment of honesty and vulnerability that no one had seen before. After that night, everything shifted. Tasha made a decision that shocked many. She began to pull back. She canceled appearances, stepped away from some responsibilities, and chose silence over the spotlight. She wasn't walking away from ministry. She was choosing to survive it. With Kenneth by her side, she started therapy, began journaling, and gave herself permission to be human, not just anointed. Let me tell you, this decision wasn't easy. Critics whispered, fans speculated, and some wondered if she would ever return to her former glory. But what was happening behind the scenes was a quiet revolution. Tasha was healing, not all at once, and not in a perfect line, but through honest talks, tearful prayers, and quiet moments of acceptance. Kenneth stayed with her through every step, not pushing, not fixing, just loving. The story took another unexpected turn as Tasha began to come out of the shadows. She wasn't the perfectly polished gospel star anymore. She was a whole, healed, and honest woman of God. Her music changed too. Her voice still soared, but now it carried more depth and feeling. The lyrics were no longer just declarations of victory. They became confessions of struggle and reminders of God's grace during hard times. What made this story different? She began to speak openly about mental health, faith, and the tough journey of being a believer with emotional wounds. People listened differently now. They didn't just admire her voice, they trusted her story because she had lived what she sang about. Kenneth supported every step, encouraging her to be transparent, even when it was risky. Together, they became voices for healing in a world that often stayed silent about pain. Their marriage, once tested in silence, turned into a powerful testimony of love and resilience. But there was still one more surprise waiting, one that would shake the world's perception even more. In a recent interview that caught everyone by surprise, Kenneth Leonard finally broke his silence. For years, he had protected Tasha's privacy, choosing silence over storytelling. But this time, he decided it was time to speak, not for attention, but for freedom. He calmly confirmed what many had quietly suspected all along. Yes, Tasha was hurting. Yes, she was struggling behind the scenes. And yes, there was a moment when she almost gave up. His words weren't dramatic or exaggerated. They were honest and filled with quiet strength. Kenneth described the pressure she faced, the heavy weight of public expectations, the loneliness hidden behind her bright smile, and the private moments that shaped their journey together. But more than anything, he emphasized the power of love, faith, and vulnerability. What people sensed in her music, the raw emotion, the pain, the ache, it was real. You weren't imagining it, he said, but what was even more real was her strength. Not the kind that performs on stage, but the kind that survives through every dark moment. His confirmation didn't expose Tasha. It freed her. The response was overwhelming. Social media lit up with messages of love, support, and shared stories. Thousands of people began opening up about their own struggles, inspired by Tasha's honesty and Kenneth's quiet loyalty. This wasn't just a celebrity story anymore. It was a reflection of many people's own lives. People saw themselves in Tasha's silent battles and Kenneth's steady presence. Some said they cried listening to Kenneth's words, while others said it gave them the courage to finally seek help. Pastors started preaching about mental health. Worship leaders began talking openly about burnout. The impact was bigger than anyone expected. Tasha and Kenneth hadn't just told a story, they had started a conversation. And in doing so, they made room for healing where silence had once ruled. Their journey became a beacon of hope for many, a reminder that even the strongest people need support. Even the most faithful can feel broken. And true love doesn't always rescue. It stays, it supports, and it helps heal. Today, Tasha Cobbs Leonard stands on a different kind of platform. She still sings, she still worships, but now with a new sense of freedom. Her ministry isn't about perfection anymore. It's about honesty. Together, Tasha and Kenneth have launched initiatives focused on emotional health and spiritual wellness, especially for those in leadership positions who often face invisible battles. They've created safe spaces where people can be real, admit when they're struggling, and find healing without shame. Their story, once hidden, has now become a powerful example of resilience and grace. And while Kenneth never sought the spotlight, his quiet strength has become an essential part of this journey, a reminder that behind every strong voice, there is often a silent battle. This is where destiny took an unexpected turn, turning pain into purpose and silence into a powerful call for change. The final part of Tasha and Kenneth's story is about hope, healing, and a new beginning. After stepping back from the spotlight, Tasha wasn't disappearing. She was choosing to live honestly and fully, even if it meant showing her struggles. This choice changed everything. People no longer expected her to be perfect. Instead, they saw her as real, as someone who was brave enough to share her brokenness and still keep going. Her music started reflecting this new honesty, touching even deeper places in people's hearts. What made this story truly powerful was how Tasha and Kenneth used their experience to help others. They didn't keep their pain hidden anymore. Together, they created programs and safe spaces for people to talk about mental health without fear or shame, especially in the church where silence had often ruled. Their work inspired pastors, worship leaders, and everyday people to open up about their own struggles. This quiet revolution spread, changing how many saw faith and emotional health. But here's the shocking part. Even with all the success and support, Tasha's journey was not easy or smooth. Healing is rarely like that. There were moments when old fears and sadness returned, times when she felt overwhelmed again. Yet every time, Kenneth was there, not to fix, but to walk beside her with steady love and understanding. This constant presence made all the difference. It reminded everyone that healing is a process, not a destination. The craziest part of their story is that this very struggle, which once threatened to break her, became the source of her greatest strength. The same pain that once hid in silence now gave her voice more power and depth. It showed millions that faith and vulnerability can live together and that even the strongest people sometimes need help. Tasha's story isn't just about gospel music or fame. It's about the real fight inside so many hearts. And so, destiny took an unexpected turn. From the pressures and pain behind the scenes to a new season of healing and honesty, Tasha and Kenneth's journey has become a powerful testimony. It teaches us that true strength is not about pretending to be perfect, but about being brave enough to be real. Their story encourages all of us to break the silence, seek support, and find hope in our darkest moments. This is not just a story of one woman's struggle. It's a story for everyone who has ever felt broken but still chose to keep going. And that's why Tasha Cobbs Leonard's voice matters now more than ever, not just for the music, but for the truth and hope it carries.